Alright, Halloween's coming up. It would be silly to assume that H.P. Lovecraft's Call of Cthulhu is going out of style. It is, as I've said before, one of the hottest horror commodities in the public domain, which means we're going to see more and more games made about it, despite people like myself groaning that it's an oversaturated market. The fact of the matter is, while I may believe that, and many others may believe that, there's a whole lot more people that are just fine with it and actually really love the theme. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy the theme just as well. Here's the thing. H.P. Lovecraft, despite what you think of the man, has a broader pantheon of characters and stories and ideas than just that of the Ancient Ones or even just Cthulhu himself. Some of my favorite stories are really interesting, unique twists that you don't realize what's going on until the very end of the story. For instance, there's one about an artist that paints these horrible images, and everyone just assumes it comes from his mind until one day someone finds a photograph of one of his pictures, and they're realizing that he's modeling these after something that he sees in real life. And then if you're Gilgamesh Games, you focus on something also really interesting that isn't touched on very often, which is the Cats of Ulthar, a story about why a town has banned the killing of cats. It's this ugly, horrible, grim, macabre story about two ugly old people that enjoy killing all local cats. If the cats wander into their home or into the yard, they're pretty much gone. That is until a group of travelers going through the town end up losing one of their own pets. And because of that, the old couple are cursed, and the very next night, all of the cats in the neighborhood show up and essentially eat them. It's nice. Cats of Ulthar is a straightforward take-that head-to-head card game where each player takes on the role of a young spellcaster going head-to-head against an old codger and his wife, whose primary hobby is killing cats. Yeah, it's pretty bleak. Players take turns playing or discarding cards from their hands. Their characters have specific icons and numbers in 3 different slots. As part of their turn, a player can place a cat onto their field if the number and icon match a spot adjacent to their character. If they manage to start their turn with 3 cats surrounding them and have a kill card in their hand, their cats kill the codger and his wife and they win the game. It's not as easy as all that. Every time a cat is placed, a card is drawn from the codger and wife deck that will attack your feline friends. On top of that, the other player can cast spells to thwart your efforts. However, if one player ever kills another cat, they must draw from the Elder Gods deck, and something almost always bad happens, because we all know monsters love cats. At its core, the Cats of Ulthar is simply a take-that 2-player game. And that's where the gambit of problems and issues that I have with the game stem from. If you're familiar with games like Munchkin, or really any take-that game where you're simply playing cards that make it harder for the other person to win, or you're just trying to get to your goal, and it's just sort of this tug-of-war back and forth, you're going to be familiar with how this game plays. Now, if you enjoy that type of thing, fantastic. This may be right up your alley, because that is all it intends to be. Now, there are certain twists and turns that make it a little more intriguing than something that's maybe just straightforward tug-of-war. The fact that harming the other player's cats causes you to draw a Elder God card is really interesting because you have to balance whether or not it's worth attacking your opponent to do so. Now, every time you place a cat, there's a separate deck for the codger and wife card, and they get to draw it. So it's basically a take-that with a 3rd dummy player. So you're not just facing your opponent, you're also facing the codger and his wife. And in a much different way, you're also facing the Elder Gods if you choose to attack the other player. Now, because there's so much take-that, with basically 2 separate AI decks, it can be drawn out a little bit. So you've got this trade-off of an interesting idea with maybe a little bit lengthier gameplay than you may be expecting or wanting in a game of this weight. And even with that being said, ultimately you're not going to be spending more than, say, 20 minutes on a full game. Now here's the thing, what really drew me to take a look at this game is 1, the art, and 2, the theme of the game. Now, we've seen Call of Cthulhu, we've seen H.P. Lovecraft numerous times. What I haven't seen is the Cats of Ulthar and some of his other smaller stories, and so I was immediately intrigued and interested in taking a look at what this game had to offer. And the art is ugly, but in the best way possible. The codger and his wife are hideous and twisted, toothless creatures, and their pictures on every single card in their deck. Whereas the cats are borderline really cute in a cartoony way. And it's good that it's cute in a cartoony way because this is a pretty macabre game, and in it your cats are going to be frozen or baked into pies, and that's illustrated in ways that would be really disturbing if it was shown in a more realistic fashion. So it's a dark, take-that, ugly, and yet interesting and well-themed game. They've dipped further into the well of interesting ideas that Lovecraft has to offer, and they're drawing from something that's truly unique and something that I'd love to see more of in the future.